Adobe's new masking function in Lightroom Classic is definitely really cool. I love what they're doing there. However, I came across something a little odd. This thing that I came across that's a little odd was found on this image. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. I'm going to click in here to the masks, and I'm going to actually go ahead and just delete all these masks so we can just start from scratch. And here is what I was trying to do. I wanted to see what would happen. Whoops, there we go. I wanted to see what would happen if I, on an image like this, if I select subject. And let's see what happens. Where is it going to select subject? And I saw that and was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. But whatever, it doesn't really, it's an odd subject for sure. In Adobe's AI, I really wouldn't expect it to just be perfect. I just wanted to see what it would do. So it selected one of the subjects that I wanted, but then we have to add a mask and take a look at, adding what's going on down here with the other water. So let's go ahead and do that. So I click on the mask here, I can hit add, and I'm going to add by a brush. And so when I do this, I'm going to go ahead and click auto mask to try as I go down the edge, try and keep it from bleeding over into that rocky area. And so let's see here, pretty high flow. So there we go. That's pretty good. And so as we just come down here and we're going to fill this in, we're going to hopefully be able to easily, and I'm going pretty quick too. I hope you'll forgive me if I'm going a little too quick and I get a bit of a rough edge. But I can always hit that option key and then just take away where it shouldn't be here on the edge. All right, looking pretty good. Now there is some extra selection here in this rock. You can see that reddish tint coming into the rock right here in the central part. And that is part of the original selection. So the way that they treat it here now, we have the main mask. And so this is kind of like, if you're going to put it in Photoshop terms, this is kind of like a layer group where the main mask is just titled mask 1. And then we have this brush, which I just applied. And then we have the subject. And so you can see here as I hover over each of these, they highlight which one is being referenced there by that idea being brush 1, etc., which is really cool. I love the fact that we have this panel that we can just mouse over and it will highlight where we're at in the image. We also have these different icons, the little brush icon, the little kind of person icon type thing. We have these different icons, which really tells us really easily what we're dealing with. In the previous versions of Lightroom, we had the little gray dot, and when I work on a black and white image, it can be really difficult to find those gray dots sometimes if I'm looking to modify whatever that was, whether it's a radial, whether it's a brush adjustment, whatever the case is. All right, so since I'm on the add here, the add brush item here, and if I were to hit the subtract, it doesn't work up here. Because I have to go back to the main mask and then I have to hit subtract. And when I do that, and let's do subtract by brush, and then when I do that, then I can take this stuff out. And so you can see that red tinge is no longer on that area of the rock. So I have 3 sections now, 3 different items. I have the subject 1, I've got the brush 1, and then I've got the brush 2, which is a minus, and all of it is making this selection here. All right, so this is the water. This is another beautiful thing. Mask 1 is water, or I could even put the water. Doesn't matter. That is so cool that we can label these. I love it. What if I wanted to now take this mask that I've made and then I just invert it so that I can take a look at adjusting everything that's not the water? Oh, that would be amazing. And we can do inversions with this. So I'm going to grab this little 3-dot thing here. I'm going to hit duplicate the water. And I'm going to then take the water and I'm just going to say not the water. All right, so we have not the water and the water. Perfect. Of course, we haven't done anything with it yet, so it is exactly the same. I'm going to just hit the eyeball here to turn off this one that we're going to end up keeping here. But in order to invert a mask, you can see we have a nice little idea, a little icon here of what this is all about. In order to invert a mask, we have to go to the sub items here. And so then I just need to come here and I hit invert. So I'm going to hit invert there. I'm going to take this brush 1, hit invert here, and then take brush 2 and invert here. All right, now this is what's kind of strange here. You know, if I'm going to invert everything, I would expect it to be an exact opposite of this. But as you can see with the little icon, it is not the exact opposite here. So we have something going on. We have a little bit of work. You know, do we need to rearrange the order of these things? You know, that doesn't help at all. And so here we're kind of sort of getting close where we have the bottom portion coming through, you know, back to the original problem area that we were. So yeah, this is still something I think that needs to be worked on, where when you have a complex piece coming together to make your original mask, if you're looking to simply invert it, it's not going to work. And this is the odd thing that I found here when I was trying to do this work, because certainly when we're inverting the minus brush, of course, it should take that, but then it seems to forget that all these other items are supposed to be a part of, you know, an inversion of the subject, as it were, an inversion of that other brush that I put on. It's just having a conflict. It's not being able to give me an exact, you know, opposite of what I originally painted over here on this item. You know, one thing that would be, I think, a really cool function would be if we could take all of these three items here, and if we could just tell Lightroom to just put all those into one mask only, to, if you will, flatten these layers, as it were. They're kind of like layers, right? So if we could tell it to flatten these layers and to make this a single mask, certainly it would take away this notion of the subject, of identifying a subject, and it would have to convert that to a brush. It would then add this brush and minus this brush, and it would just be one item. If we were to do that, I have a feeling that the inversion of a single simple brush application of the mask would then work very well. But we don't have that. Not yet anyway. So that does it for us. I'd love to hear any comments or thoughts on this, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy shooting.